Happy Monday, Mon family. It's Monday. And if your first decision today was hitting the snooze button 3 times and still showing up late and with yesterday's socks, congratulations. You're already winning at life or at least participating. And look, I was like scrolling past through the decisions that I made the other day, and I realized something. I don't just make bad decisions. I was out here collecting participation trophies in the bad decision Olympics, gold, the silver, the bronze, and I was carrying the torch. Because when I was thinking back, I was like, damn, the people that I've dated, the texts that I have sent, the outfits that I thought were cute, and then the bangs that I cut, and then the times that I said, I'll be fine, knowing good and well it was absolutely not going to be fine. And honestly, if my 18-year-old self met my 27-year-old me, she'd probably be embarrassed. Like my 27-year-old me would be looking at 18-year-old like, girl, put your phone down. We're going home. Okay. But then I started thinking, I know I'm not the only one who has made bad decisions. We've all made them. We all thought that some decisions made perfect sense at the time and then absolutely no sense a few years later. And I think that's the funny part about life. We expect ourselves to know exactly what to do while we're literally just figuring it out as we go. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about decisions, the good ones, the bad ones, the ones we regret, and then the ones that changed our lives, and why I don't think one bad decision means you made a bad life.
This is MON, still showing up.
Hosted by Denise.
All right, Mon family. So let's get started with our Mon stories. And this first one is literally the definition of summer. Okay. It's literally summer. So someone said, I finally worked up the courage to go swimming and face my fears of waves. Okay, so you went to the beach. I was out there trying to have my moment when a huge wave came out of nowhere and my bikini top had other plans. 1 second I was swimming, and then the next my bra came down and I flashed what like felt the entire beach, including a bunch of kids, their parents, and I wanted to disappear. I thought my day was over, but after the initial embarrassment, I fixed my top, laughed at myself, and I kept swimming. The people on the beach probably forgot about it 5 minutes later, but if I had gone home, I would have been remembered for missing out on the rest of the day. Listen, Mom family, I love that story because literally sometimes life will literally knock your top off. You'll have those embarrassing moments, but the lesson is always fix what you can. You laughed it off, and then you still showed up. Now, this next Mon story, somebody said, I was driving to work minding my business when I accidentally clipped the side of a mirror of a parked car. Oh, I have a story about this one. My heart dropped. I just sat there thinking, well, this is how my day is going. So I pulled over, took a deep breath, left my information, handled the situation, and kept going with my day. And if I'm being honest, life isn't about not making mistakes, is what you do and how you show up after it, which is what Mon's about. So I'm glad that you left your information, which just made me think, okay, so I was probably 16 years old or 17 years old when I first started driving. And I remember where I lived, it was very secluded, very mountain area. And I was driving home and I was driving my parents' car. I was driving home and I hit a mailbox because the mailbox were out. And obviously my parents were mad about it. I got in trouble for it. But that just made me think about that. And I don't even know why I'm sharing this story, if I'm being honest. But anyways, I showed up, you showed up. And today we're going to be talking about decisions. So let's get into our topic. And if you're listening, don't forget to share your Mon stories because a lot of y'all are lazy. Yes, you guys listening to me right now or watching me on YouTube, you guys are lazy. And I know you have moments where you guys messed up and continue showing up and I'm calling you out. I want to hear more mom stories. Thank you. So I was talking to my mom the other day, and this just made me think about decisions that we've made where I shared my story. And I'm going to share this other story. You're like, oh my God, you have so many stories today. And let me tell you about my uncle. My mom was telling me the other day when he was about 10 years old, this guy literally thought he was Superman. Okay. And he tied a red towel around his neck. He climbed up onto a well and then he puffed his chest out. I could picture this and yelled, I can fly. And he literally jumped. He did not fly. Now, here's the miracle. I think, oh my God, how is this kid, how did he survive? Somehow his teeth caught on to like the edge of the well and stopped him from falling all the way down to the well. And to this day, I have absolutely no idea how that's physically possible. And those teeth deserve the employee of the month. But obviously, he came out crying. And you would think he would come off crying because he was hurt, but because he realized that Superman doesn't fall into wells. And my mom just always tells a story. And it just made me think about it. And I love it because it reminds me that you can't make it through life without making ridiculous decisions. But can I say something? Okay. I don't think most bad decisions happen because people are stupid. I think they happen because people are just lonely. And I said it right. Lonely people settle, lonely people stay too long, lonely people accept less than what they deserve because they're scared less is all they'll ever get. And honestly, I think loneliness has talked a lot of good people into bad decisions, right? And if I'm being honest, decisions feel scary because they feel permanent. And most of them aren't. Like, you can't unhave the baby, you can't undo the tattoo or unsend that unhinged text at 3 a.m., but you can decide what you do next. You can be an amazing parent. You can become the kind person who laughs at the tattoo, or you can turn the worst relationships into the best thing never again lesson. And I think the controversial truth is a lot of you are scared of making the wrong decisions when you should be more scared of making no decisions and staying stuck in the mediocrity of things, right? And I think when it comes to making decisions, discipline is a cheat code. We already know what to do. We know we got to go to the gym. We got to stop texting that dusty person or save money or leave the job that's literally killing our soul. But the problem isn't knowing, it's actually doing it. And a lot of people think that discipline is a punishment when it's self-respect with one sign of shut up and handle it. One good decision won't fix your life, but a bunch of small ones stacked consistently, that's how you change the game and your life. It's like atomic habits. As we're speaking about smaller decisions, that a lot of you and me, I'll say, right? A lot of you aren't scared of the wrong decision. You're also scared of disappointing your toxic friends and family who don't even have their own shit together, for lack of a better word. Like making the right decision and having everybody side eyeing you, that's a different kind of lonely. Right? And small decisions, those are the little silent killers. The first time you ignored your gut, the first time that you say, it's not that bad, or maybe the first time that you normalize some bullshit, or before you know it, you're in a whole relationship, job, situationship that you didn't even want. Small decisions are like a steering the ship. 1 degree off doesn't feel like much until you're in a completely different ocean, wondering how you got there, like Christopher Columbus. Okay. And also, I think the question that has helped me more than anything is realizing two different things. Is this a changeable decision or is this a permanent one? Because as I said earlier, we treat ordering coffee sometimes like we're signing a mortgage. Some things can change. And you should really ask yourself, is this temporary feeling or is this something that's long term, as I said? So don't make permanent decisions because of temporary emotions, right? And that comes with anger when you're lonely because of fear, exhaustion, or when you have a bad day, a bad week, a bad breakup, or a bad month. Those feelings are real, but they don't always deserve permanent consequences. And I don't make decisions from fear, right? Because fear is basically saying, what if it doesn't work? You're supposed to make your decisions with faith, right? Like, what if it does? And honestly, I think that's where the discipline will come in. And let me tell you something that I have noticed is that society celebrates decisions that make other people comfortable. Maybe like, what are you talking about? Getting engaged, getting promoted, buying the house, having the baby. But nobody throws you a party because you left that toxic relationship. I've seen it divorce parties though. Or nobody buys you flowers because you started therapy. Or nobody really congratulates you because you finally chose yourself. Maybe now a little bit, but in the past, nobody has, right? Some of the best decisions that you'll ever make will never get an applause. And also, I've noticed that, a lot of bad decisions aren't made because we're bad people. They're made because we also feel that pressure. And I always say, don't let pressure make the decision for you, right? Pressure because you're 30 and not married. So you then ignore the red flags and rush with the first person who gives you the time of day, or pressure because everybody's on Instagram, buying houses. So you rush into one, right, before you're financially ready and you end up stressed instead of being happy. Or pressure because your family keeps asking you, when are you going to have kids, right? Even though you're not in a place where you want to have kids yet, or pressure because everybody around you seems to have life figured out and somehow you feel like you're falling behind, right? And if I'm being honest, Mon family, pressure has talked a lot of good people into living lives they've never actually wanted. So don't let somebody else's timeline become your life plans, because the people rushing you won't have to live with the consequences. You know who will? You will. And the hardest part, right, is sometimes you can make the right decision and it still feels wrong. I really want you guys to listen to what I'm about to say. And it's that, and it took me a long time to learn. Decision doesn't become a good decision because everybody will understand that. Think about it. Some people are never going to understand why you left, why you stayed, why you moved, why you changed your careers, or why you forgave, or why you stopped forgiving. And honestly, they don't have to, because not everybody gets the behind the scenes version of your life. People see a 5 minute, summary, and then they think they know the whole movie or the whole book. And I think that's one of the hardest parts about growing up, right? Is realizing you don't need permission to make the decision that's best for you. And I think we have confused the right decision with an easy life. And I talked about this a little bit in the last episode. Those things aren't the same thing. You can marry the right person and still argue. You can get your dream job and still be stressed. You can buy the house and worry about money. You can have a baby and still miss your old life. The right decision doesn't promise an easy journey, and it doesn't give you a direction worth walking. But I will say, and I wish somebody had told me this, is sometimes you can make a right decision and it will still feel wrong. As I said, you can leave the relationship and still miss them. You can take the job and wonder if you should have stayed. You can move into a new city and still feel lonely. You can go back to school and still think, what am I doing? And I think we panic because we expect the right decision to come with that immediate peace. And life does not work that way. Sometimes the right decision comes with a little bit of grief. And sometimes it comes with a little bit of doubt, or it comes with, growing pains and feeling uncomfortable after a life-changing decision. Doesn't automatically mean you made the wrong one. Sometimes it just means life is changing, and change, as I said before and always will say, is very uncomfortable. Now, quick things that you should do when you're making decisions. I heard the 10-10 rule. How will I feel in 10 minutes, 10 months, or 10 years? Or worst case scenario, do an audit. What's actually the worst thing that can happen if I do this decision? Or there's like the two-way rule. Can I undo this? Like a quick boundary check. Does this decision bring me more peace or more chaos? And you know what's funny? um, I've learned this a lot from work. Like sometimes I'll open up an email, I'll read it immediately and think, absolutely not. Like I'm sure you guys have gotten that feeling when you just look at the email and you just stop yourself and you're just like, Melanie from Love Island, give me 10. Give me 10. Just give me 10 minutes, because I've learned that my first reaction isn't always my best reaction. And then 10 minutes later, I'm calmer, and I think, maybe they didn't mean it that way, or maybe I misunderstood, or maybe it's not worth the energy. And if I'm still annoyed, I'll respond, but I'll respond with a level headed, not emotions. And that is literally a life lesson. Not every text needs an immediate response, or not every argument needs today, or not every opportunity needs the same day answer. Sometimes space saves us from making those bad decisions. Now, maybe before quitting your job, give it 10. Or before texting, give it 10. Before buying the thing on Amazon, give me 10, give it 10, okay? And sometimes you can just follow these things and help you before making a decision. And before I go, I want you to also be prepared, right? When making decisions, right? Faith isn't always sitting around waiting for a sign. Sometimes God already has given you the wisdom or the resources or the people or the opportunities, but it's up to you to take the next step. And remember that discipline really does matter. And sometimes we already know the right decisions, we just don't want to make it. But discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want right now. And here's another thing: every decision costs something. Staying costs something. Leaving will cost something. And growing definitely costs something. There's no free options, but don't let that scare you, because one decision doesn't define your life. And a bad decision can change your story, but it doesn't get to write the ending. And now look, you don't have to make the perfect decision, or you just have to make the best one you can with the information that you have right now. The right decision won't always feel right. It might feel lonely, scary, or even boring. But staying stuck, that's also a decision. And it's usually the worst one. So this Monday, as you're listening, make one slightly better decision than you did last week, right? Because maybe the most important decision you'll ever make isn't about who you're going to marry, or where you'll work, or where you want to live. It's deciding that no matter what happens, you're going to keep showing up. And once you make that decision, a lot of the other ones become easier. So I'll see you next Monday, same time, same place, still showing up. Bye now.